Hey everybody, it's Maximus, and today I wanted to do a small analysis on some of the screenshots that got posted for Mortal Kombat 11. This is on Steam. They showed off, I think it was like 6 or 7 screenshots, I think it was 6, and I wanted to take a look at them and kind of in an in-depth view, show you what I found within them. Now, I don't know if anybody's done an analysis yet or not, and I might do a trailer analysis, but I'm pretty sure that's already been done. So here's the photos nonetheless. Okay, so here's the first one, and the first thing you'll notice is Scorpion and Raiden's new costumes. We saw this in the trailer, but with a slight different variation. We'll start off by looking at Scorpion. Scorpion is completely different than he was in MKX and MK9. Here we can see that he's got soft cloth pants along with this cloth and leather. I don't even know what you call it. It's like a gi, and he also has these shiny chrome reflective knee pads and shin pads, along with some dynamic cloth on his forearm here, and he's outfitted with what appears to be 2 katanas. Now, as we'll find out later, this other katana is more like a single knife than it is a actual full-size katana. We also notice here that his mask is much more skeleton-based. It's got the nose of a skeleton or a skull. And just quickly to cover it, this is definitely going to take a lot more GPU power to render, due to the fact that we see that we have world-reflecting chrome on multiple pieces of his body, along with his mask and his sword. So, although this game will still probably try to run at a 60 FPS cap like the previous games, due to fighting game frame data and such, it still is going to require a more powerful GPU to render everything. Definitely a lot better. I mean, a lot better shadow work went into this. The shadow on the skin and everything. On MKX, you got these weird triangular patterns. This is a lot softer and more well-rounded. They still have that heavy bloom effect that was in MKX, but looks like they toned it down a little bit. Down here near the bottom, we see soft Unreal Engine 4 shadow rendering. Looks pretty good. There's no contrast depth within the shadow itself, but it's definitely well smoothed. Moving on to Raiden. Raiden's shadow has some weird clipping to it, along with the bottom of Scorpion's foot, but I'm sure that'll be fixed after the game releases. Raiden's new design, we can tell that he's definitely a corrupted Raiden. He has the red electricity and the red eyes. They might make this a permanent thing, kind of like they did with zombie Liu Kang in Mortal Kombat Deception and Armageddon. But that's besides the point. If we take a look here, he has a nice new redesign. He's got a similar color scheme to Scorpion, almost identical actually, except for he has gold instead of chrome. But he's got the black pants and he's got shiny metal with black cloth and leather all over his body. Shoulder pads, along with Scorpion, he has shoulder pads now. Interesting design. One thing I want to point out is the blood. It is a lot more thick and less reflective than MK10, which is a good thing. In my opinion, Mortal Kombat X blood was way too reflective and watery, and thin, making it just look like more like collared water than it did blood. But this is a lot more gloppy and a lot more, blood-like. There's a lot of theories that they're going to bring back body damage like that was in MK9. So far there's no evidence in this photo, but we do see blood splatters all over the characters. One last thing about this photo is we notice that the backgrounds are very, very well rendered when it comes to the shadows and texture modeling. There does not seem to be that crappy depth of field anymore. It's all matte. We also see some dust effects above this rock right here. again, makes the game look very pretty, but will make it harder to run on older hardware. When they said that this game's coming to the Switch, I don't know what to think about that, since don't quote me here because I don't know if I have my facts completely right, but from what I understand, the Switch runs on a processor, or not a processor, but a graphics processor, similar to the levels and capability of around a GTX 1030, or even 930, maybe 950. So I don't know how they will port it to the Switch without taking major loss, but I'm sure that they're mainly going to take out reflections and background detail. Okay, moving on. This is a screenshot from the trailer, I believe, but real quick we can point out that we have Shinnok's amulet along with corrupted Raiden. Now this is a very interesting photo here, because it proves to me that there's going to be variations just like there was in MKX. Back in MK9 and back, there was no such thing as variations, but now in MKX there is, where you have 3 different variations per character. And we noticed that in this variation of Scorpion, his costume has changed drastically. We no longer see any red on him. We also see a different belt along with these shin guards right here. Now these shin guards do not have world reflection. They look more like a matte metal, similar. Actually, they're gloss, but you get my point. Very similar to Special Forces, or even what some of the cyborgs use along the series. So we definitely might see Scorpion join sides with Special Forces. Now, I do note that there is a sword in this variation, but it's not in the same placement, nor is it a sword and a knife. Actually, as a matter of fact, it is a sword and a knife, but they are in a different spot. Which still leads me to believe that there's going to be different variations. We notice that there's a lot of fire here. More than likely, this is the aftermath of a fatality, or this is a taunt, or like a calling card at the end of the match, similar to how they did it back in MK6 Deception, where he would shoot the spear at the screen and pull the screen towards him. But we do notice all the hellfire and the tip of the spear being flaming, glowing hot. So, in my opinion, this is a different variation of Scorpion, probably a hellfire or inferno type. Okay, here's our next image. Back to that first Scorpion design, but slightly modified. Just ever so slightly, these guards look a little bit different when they're trimming. We also have more prominent shoulder pads. It kind of appears like, I don't know if that's just me, or if it was a design change, because it does appear to be on the same stage, making me to believe that it is the same as the first screenshot. But anyways, we notice that Raiden, he is bringing Scorpion into the air with a bolt of lightning. So this is probably a fatality. It looks great, and it makes me believe that Raiden is going to have more lightning arc based attacks than he did in MKX. He had plenty in MKX, but not to the level I believe a Thunder God should. I mean, he's literally the God of Thunder. I mean, he's more lightning, but that's up for another discussion. Looks great though. One note I forgot to say is that we'll see all these particle effects that are being rendered everywhere, like this right here. All of these fire effects, you have to understand that your GPU is going to be rendering them one by one, or in a mesh, one or the other, but with random patterns, and definitely going to take more processing power, which is something you don't really want in a fighting game, but it will look gorgeous. Okay, so next up we have this shot of where he throws the spear into Raiden. We notice that there's motion blur along the chain, even to the point of dynamic distortion, as we can see on this chain link. We also notice that it's either fiery hot right here, or this is kind of an action mark Tekken style, more particle effects, but this overall looks gorgeous. The nice thick gloppy blood. The only thing I noticed wrong here is that I believe the spear should hit around the mid-torso area, and he is spurting blood from the lower neck. But still not a big deal, and I'm sure it'll be they'll patch it post-release or beta, whatever. Still, it looks fantastic. The groundwork's great. I noticed that a lot of the environments are more sandy or dead. I haven't seen any trees or any floral anything yet. But this is arguably the most interesting of all the screenshots. You'll notice how Scorpion is flipped backwards, which is something that you're not able to do in fighting games, is flip yourself backwards. You're always facing the opponent, and it's a very important mechanic in fighting games. So anyways, you'll notice some more particle effects coming off, but Raiden is holding the a lightning arc like the reins to a horse, and it's going through his hands here, and his fingers are spread, and it reminds me of a puppeteering act. I apologize for any background noise. I do have a house full of people. But anyways, to me, what it looks like is that he's probably doing some kind of puppeteering or corruption act on Scorpion. Here, Scorpion is using his spear as a normal kunai, as a normal attack. Back in MKX, I do believe the only time he used the kunai was on his grab, his L1 or whatever you want to call it, on other controllers. Still, all looks good. I believe these shin pads are ever so slightly different than we saw on this screenshot. This could just be a different costume instead of a different variation, but nobody can really say yet. Still very good, smooth shadow mapping. We have world reflecting puddles here, but that's nothing new. I believe this right here is the last of the screenshots, and here we get to see a lot of randomly generated particle effects underneath the Raiden, coming off of his left leg and bursting out in both directions. All of these little sparks, or they look like fireworks, and different floating pieces of lightning static. Here's a nice punch to the face for Scorpion. Definitely good, more fluid animation. I think that's what they're trying to show off. MKX was known for its stiff animation, and that's something that comes with any fighting game rendered in 3D. There are some games that do a good job, for example Street Fighter 4 and Killer Instinct for the Xbox One, but MKX specifically was not known for having great animations. But this does look very fluid. We see that the artist that was rendering it has good body manipulation for their animation. So overall, I'm very impressed, and I didn't mean to ramble on so long. I just wanted to point out every little detail I could find. If you guys see anything else that I missed, which I'm sure you guys will, please leave me a comment. I am willing to discuss any of this. I am just super hyped for MK11. I've spent hundreds and hundreds of hours on MKX, and yeah. So if you guys liked the video and you're hyped for MK11, please either subscribe to my channel or leave a like or a comment or a variation or combination of all of those. But yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll talk to you later. Everybody have a good one.